Hello there. The management of this theater is happy to show you now a special sort of film, an added attraction that's a salute to the many friends and neighbors in our town who work for General Motors.
A quick glance or a long look. There's no question what animal this body belongs to, or what animal this body belongs to. The outward differences between a man of the world and a man of the forest are apparent to anyone. Even the inward differences are readily apparent. Apes, for instance, have always been satisfied with things as they are, while man has always tried to improve things around him. So even though apes probably learned how to throw stones, the hammer had to wait until man came along and put a handle on the stone. Thus, craftsmanship was born early in man's history, springing from two of his most basic traits, self-preservation and self-gratification. Everywhere in the world, men have left the mark of their progress in the self-taught craftsmanship of their civilizations. Whether it was a forgotten race that fashioned stone figures for a forgotten purpose, or a Mayan of old fashioning ornaments of his own native gold, an ancient Egyptian fashioning a flashing scarab for the diadem of a pharaoh, craftsmanship and civilization have marched down the years hand in hand. Even in our own country a long time ago, Paul Revere made a name for riding a horse, but he made his living, and another place in history, as a silversmith whose hallmark still stands for inherent quality and value beyond price. Always a problem of the cost of the time he spent making his wares. Because of this hard economic fact, dainty handcrafted silver graced only the finest boards. And while the cobbler built his own rude bench with his own hands, Mr. Chippendale's best was to be found only in the finest homes of his day. Even so, the true craftsman has always been secure in his skill. No machine has taken his place, nor ever will. For beauty, utility, strength, and grace are not created by machines, but by men, craftsmen. Craftsmen whose skills other craftsmen have learned to multiply, to make bountiful. Where yesterday's Reveres painstakingly shaped one at a time costly pieces they could never exactly duplicate, today's craftsmen extend the convenience and pride of ownership of their products to hundreds or thousands of their fellow men. Call it mass production, if you will. It's really craftsmanship brought up to date. Craftsmanship of the highest order the world has ever known. Craftsmanship that is an extension of the excellence of the most costly handcrafting to millions instead of to one. And nowhere in the 20th century is the art of extending and multiplying the skill of the craftsman more highly developed than in the manufacture of bodies for 20th century automobiles. Yet, unknowingly, you could stand all day at the end of a body production line and see no sign of this art. Where is this craftsmanship, you'd say? These are but products of the machine age. Look you more closely then, with a more knowing eye. Look, for instance, at the smooth perfection of this top, as totally unblemished as the fragile egg of a springtime robin, yet made of steel by men. Or look at this door, its compound curves as smooth as if poured in liquid rather than pressed in steel. Study this door. It stays open, swings easily closed, shuts with a comforting solid sound, and fits perfectly along all its edges, though its weather stripping seals it solidly against drafts and leaks. A touch of a finger locks it safely. A touch of a thumb releases it easily. A finger touch opens its windows smoothly, evenly, without bind or chatter. A finger touch closes its window against the elements, while the heaviest rains drain off without damaging its interior mechanisms. And even though the door slants inward and has a double curve, the window lowers completely, with no interference from all the machinery the door contains. Craftsmanship? Yes, the craftsmanship of specialists in many skills, translated into the bountiful tens of thousands of doors that will withstand tens of thousands of slammings in laboratory tests. The craftsmanship that goes into a door first sees the light of day on a sheet of paper, in a drawing of an automobile that shows only its general outline, a drawing that translates the idea in the mind of the skilled designer into two dimensions. The third dimension, depth, begins to be apparent as other craftsmen translate the drawing into a scaled model of clay. Design faults not apparent in the flat drawing quickly show up at this stage, in the round body people call it, and the faults can be quickly corrected. Sculpturing an automobile body is a far more exacting craft than the sculpture of a human body, for no two parts of the human body are exactly identical. Whereas in an automobile body, the right half and the left half, and all the parts of right half and left half, must be each an exact mirror image of each other. And by this time, body engineers, craftsmen in their right too, have begun the delicate task of engineering the body. For up to this point, the body has amounted to no more than a shell. Our door must open, from the back, of course, for safety. And to open, there must be hinges, hidden somewhere here beneath this smooth, irregular contour. And so the axis of the door's swing must be plotted on another sheet of paper, and straps and hinges made by hand for this full-size working model. And now final decisions are made. And the hands of craftsmen begin bee-like to buzz. Production drawings are made by the tens and the hundreds. Our door is now a maze of lines on a maze of paper, a mass of drawings, blueprints that will stand this deep before our one door can go into production. And because orders for parts for this door must go out in plenty of time, other craftsmen are already busy on working models of parts of the door, for nothing can be left to chance. The handle and other hardware must be right. Latch and lock must be designed out of experience for this particular door. Window mechanism of proved design must be adapted. Weather stripping, shape, location, and application must be accurately determined. Rubber bumpers and pads must be properly located and designed, and provision made for their easy mounting. The armrest must be designed, comfortably located, and provision made for its solid support. And meanwhile, every other part of the body, the rear doors, the floor, the front bulkhead, the trunk lid, the top, the sills, every box section is getting exactly the same kind of attention from the same kind of skilled craftsman. Nothing is left to chance. Consider this joint, here where the center post meets the rocker panel. An exact duplicate is built up from the drawings and computations of the engineers. And then it's clamped in a fixture, so a powerful motor can torture it, twisting and turning, bending and straightening, hour after hour, to make certain in advance that it'll be strong enough for every requirement of safety and timeless dependability. And the other important structural members get the same treatment. Since practicability requires that these bodies be built of steel, in sheets that have little resistance to twisting, the craftsmen who design them take advantage of a simple mechanical fact. Just as an open shoebox can be twisted very easily, while the same box with its top on is much stronger, sheets of steel formed into shapes like this, called box sections, lend bridge-like strength to the properly designed automobile body. In the meantime, however, still other craftsmen have been taking the first intricate steps in hand fashioning what are called the tools and dies that will enable great machines to form the steel for the new body. Practically every step of the way at this stage, skill with hand tools is absolutely essential. As high an order of craftsmanship in wood as can be found among the finest of cabinet makers. At least one pair of dies must be made for every single sheet metal part of the new body. Consider for a moment your cupped hand, one die, and your fist, the other die of this pair. Now, if you lay a sheet of foil over your cupped hand, as a body maker lays a sheet of steel over his die, and then press your fist into your hand, like this, you have given the sheet of aluminum the shape of your hand. Now, this is the wooden form of the die that will help make the outside of our door, because, like your fist, it will be forced into its mate like your cupped hand, thus giving the metal its own shape. Of course, wood is too soft to work steel, so plaster casts are made by hand. And from the plaster casts, the final forms are fashioned by craftsmen in plastic. This plastic is firm and tough, quite strong. When completed, the whole plastic unit can be fastened solidly on this huge 3-story profiling machine. The sensitive probing finger of the giant machine is moved across the surface of the form to guide in an exact duplication of its motion the tool below as it sculptures at last one of the dies that will itself help shape the steel for the new body. The profiling machines are kept busy. Machines of all sizes, from 27-foot giants to 7-foot pups. Finally, back to the hands of individual craftsmen for the infinitely skilled smoothing up operation no machine can be taught to do. Here, the human eye catches a reflection out of place on a surface that should be liquid smooth. A human hand, as sensitive as a surgeon's, actually feels an imperfection the eye can't see and removes it with a hand tool that with one false motion could do irreparable damage. The two parts of the dies can't touch each other, for if they merely rub together anywhere, they'd literally rip and tear sheets of steel as if they were paper. They can't touch, but they must not be farther apart anywhere over their entire surface than 37 thousandths of an inch. So making dies match perfectly is actually more art than craft. And so seem all steps of body making. Consider these sheets of steel as they are fed expertly into the pair of dies mounted in this enormous press. Each time the press closes with 900 tons of pressure, another sheet of steel has taken its first step toward becoming the outside panel of our door. And before it's completed, successive operations in other presses will have drawn, punched, spanked, trimmed, flanged, and beaded it. Every step is as mechanized as possible. Nothing operates until every man at a machine has both his hands on the safety buttons. Fingers of nameless steel instead of human flesh reach in to remove finished parts. And so in a matter of minutes, after the months of preparation, another door outer, as it's called, is ready for the conveyor. Unless, without warning, an inspector checks it, as inspectors check all body parts, on a master gauge that questions its every dimension. Because every single part of every single body must be an exact duplicate of the same part, no matter in what plant from coast to coast it may be made. Only such fantastic accuracy assures the true fit that's one of the hallmarks of body craftsmanship. And once on the conveyor, the door outer is soon met by the door inner. Then begins the series of operations that transform what once were two sheets of metal into an automobile door. The sturdy hinge pillar is welded to the inner, and the glass-run channel support. And the window bumpers, all solidly welded for strength and to prevent rattles for a lifetime. And sound deadener is applied inside and out of sight to prevent the most annoying of all body noises, drumming. And finally, the outer and inner meet and are quickly pinch welded. Then the outer is hemmed, all to obliterate all sharp edges. And finally, the hem is welded. And another door is practically completed, ready to become a solid part of a quality body. to be chosen as a sacrifice to quality. For every half hour, this inspector tries to break the welds just made. No other way assures the safe strength this door must have to satisfy all the craftsmen who designed and built it. At the same time, another door has been lifted from the line to be finally checked for every accuracy in a master fixture, correct to thousandths of an inch. Hinge hole position, glass opening, and so forth and so forth and so forth. Everything is checked for precision of final fit and the strength that means not only quiet comfort, but also safety. By this time, all the other thousands of parts that go into each body, each born of the same painstaking industrial effort, are ready for their assembly into bodies. The work, of course, is done by machines, fabulous machines, themselves creations of craftsmen in the design of what are known as tools, jigs, and fixtures that perform their tasks with uncanny precision, speed, and efficiency. Over these machines, you might say, men preside, directing a majestic symphony of modern mass production. On a rigid 2-ton base of steel, each body is erected, its sides formed and held absolutely true by heavy yellow-painted jigs to make certain that everything, doors and all, fit to absolute perfection. There's speed here, of course. Speed that comes from true skill. Speed that comes from specialization. And from having enough specialists, each with plenty of time, to do his job to perfection. And so the bodies progress. A thorough rust-proofing protects them for a lifetime, inside and out. And soon they do that, you might say, sort of brings them to life. The color of costly lacquers, baked long and hard, that have proved in the laboratory and on the road their superiority to any other finish. After the glass is installed, they are given their baptism. Literally tons of water are jet sprayed at them under high pressure in every direction. And this little sticker is the inspector's statement that this body is leak-proof. And so it goes throughout this body. Even the soundproofing of many different kinds is selected so each performs the quieting function it alone does best. Here is a craftsmanship that, not satisfied to rest on any laurels of the past, must forge ahead, constantly checking, constantly testing, constantly proving, constantly improving. A craftsmanship with the belief that the beauty, convenience, and comfort of a modern motor car body can be fairly delivered to the motoring public only with the careful design and structural perfection that mean maximum safety through inbuilt strength. A craftsman's experience spans the full history of the automobile itself. The craftsmanship that proudly bears 5 great names for 5 great cars. But no matter what name it bears, it's determined to remain the one motor car body the public knows by name because of the bountiful value that's the tradition of its own hallmark. Body by Fisher.